Hey students, welcome to World History 1 here at the College of Mid-America. It's great to have you in class. I hope you guys are all doing well today. This video today that I want to share with you is an introductory video for basically for the syllabus. I'd like you to get to know me a little bit, and then we'll go over the syllabus and then talk about Moodle a little bit before we jump into the next video, which will be the first video lecture for this history course. But I'd like to welcome you. Some of you may be new students. Some of you may have had me last semester for World History 2, which again, you don't have to have them in order. So some of you may be students that have been at Mid-America and know me. Others may not know me and may be new. But I just want to welcome you to the College of Mid-America and this World History 1 course. Just a little bit about me. I am a student here at Mid-America. I'm a PhD student, and I'm majoring in practical theology, which is basically preaching. And I also teach here the World History 1 and World History 2 course because my bachelor's degree is in modern European history, which is basically from the French Revolution all the way up to the modern era. And but the focus is in Europe. And my master's degree, which I have a Master's of Divinity from Mid-America, I have taken all the required courses for the history courses that are required there, and I'm also minoring in church history for my PhD. So I love history. I hope you guys like history, but I love history, and I'm really looking forward to teaching this semester to you guys. I'm married with 4 children. I've been married for almost 24 years now, and I have 3 children who are all in college. One's a senior in college, and then I have 2 freshmen. And I also, my wife and I adopted a little boy. We got him when he was 3 days old and raised him, and we adopted him, and now he starts kindergarten this year. So we have a kindergartner and we have college age. So there's quite a gap in between there. So it is fun. In regards to my education, I went to State University of New York, where I got my bachelor's degree in history, minoring in anthropology. And then after being called to ministry, I went to Mid-America Northeast Campus in New York, and I graduated with my Master of Divinity degree. After that, I pastored a Baptist church in Long Island, New York for 6 years, and I believe God was leading me to further my education. And so my family and I, we left New York and we came to Tennessee, and we are now here at Mid-America, where I'm a student and I teach. So that's just a little bit about me, and I'm sure you'll pick up some other things too along the way about me as we go through the course. So I'm looking forward to getting to know you some in the forums. I don't require a lot in regards to the forums on Moodle, but sometimes I do put something in there and we get to have a little bit of a discussion, but I don't do too much of that, or I don't grade it either. So it's just a way that we can just communicate back and forth and get to know one another a little bit. So that's enough about me. I just want to now move into the syllabus. It's very important that you know and understand the syllabus, because what's in the syllabus is basically what's going to be the course. So if you haven't done so already, you can go into Sess. I already put the syllabus up on Sess. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're on Moodle, and so it should be there on the top page of your Moodle dashboard there once you log into the Moodle and then click on World History 1, it should be right there at the top for the syllabus. So if you want to grab the syllabus and read through with me, or you can just follow along as I do it. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. You can read it on your own, but there's some things that I do want to point out to you in the syllabus, which will take just a few minutes here. World History 1, that's WH 4961, August 19th, December 9th, that's the dates. And then on top of the syllabus, you see 2 things there. It says Dr. Mark Thompson, PhD, Professor of Record, and Zachary Sandiford, that's me, Graduate Teaching Assistant. And what that means is that I'm qualified to teach undergraduate level courses because of my education, but because I'm not a professor and I don't have my PhD yet, I have to have somebody over me, a professor over me, who ensures that I do what I'm supposed to be doing. So his name is Dr. Mark Thompson, and he's a professor here at Mid-America also. You see there my name and the seminary address, college address. That's my cell number. If you ever need to get a hold of me, definitely texting is a good thing. I text all the time. So if you want to shoot me a text about something, there's my phone number. And then my email, zsandiford@mabts.edu. Okay, and everything's going to be going over emails. A lot of communication will be happening through email. Okay, so make sure you're checking your email. You should check your email at least once a day, just to keep up with all your professors, not just me, but it's the way that we're going to be communicating with one another. On the syllabus there, it says Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 8:50 a.m. That's for residential students. We will be meeting here at Mid-America. Even though we're in the middle of all this COVID stuff, we still are going to be meeting with the safety precautions and the social distancing and face masks and hand sanitizer and all this stuff that we're doing to be safe here, because we want to be safe. So those times there, that's for the residential class. If you're an online student, you don't have to do those times. You do have to log in at least 3 separate times a week in regards to attendance. We kind of take attendance that way. So you have to log in at least 3 separate times a week. And on my side of Moodle, I can see when you log in and when you log out. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to log in and I'm going to be like on Moodle for 25 seconds and then log back out, okay, there you go. That's not going to fly. You got to log in, and I got to see that you've done something on Moodle for several minutes, and the videos themselves are usually 20 to 30, sometimes even a little bit longer minutes. So you're basically gonna be watching videos on Moodle and maybe a forum or something. But that's the class times, but that doesn't really apply for online students. Please read the entire syllabus carefully. The instructor reserves the opportunity to change the content of this syllabus as necessary. Okay, so that's the little disclaimer. Course description. This course will include a cursory study of world history from the beginning, i.e. Genesis, from the beginning up to and including the Middle Ages. Students will explore world history through examining the political, social, and economic development of various civilizations, peoples, and religions. The instructor has designed the assignments, lectures, and class discussions to provide a foundation for understanding major civilizations, eras, and persons during the corresponding time period. Okay, so that's the description of the course from the catalog. Course objectives. There's a list of things that you'll be able to do. Basically, if you do well in the course and come out of the course, you'll be able to do these things. You can read those on your own. Instructor availability. Because this is basically focused towards online students, even though residential students do have access to these videos, online students, the communication is going to be over email, or you can text me or whatever. I have no problem. I check my email all the time. I get notices on my phone all the time, all day long, and I'll communicate that way through the email. So definitely reach out to me in that way if you have any problems or questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, which usually isn't very long. Required text and reading assignments. Okay, so the text is called Traditions and Encounters, A Global Perspective on the Past, Volume 1, From the Beginning to 1500. Okay, and that's by Jerry Bentley and Herbert Ziegler. Okay, so you want to get that book. You're going to have to read that book. It's a requirement for the reading, at least 500 pages for this class. And you're going to need to get that book, get it used, or rent it, or whatever. They're online. It's not an uncommon book or anything. It can be the 6th edition. It should be the 6th edition. If you find a 5th edition, I'm not worried about it. Sometimes the page numbers might be off just a little bit. It's better to have the 6th edition. But as long as you read the page numbers that are for that section, you're good to go. Okay, so reading. The student is required to complete all the assigned reading listed in the daily reading assignments, which in the back of the syllabus I have the day, and then I have the reading assignment for that day. That reading assignment has to be done before you come to class if you're residential, or should be done before you watch the videos for those days. Okay, And then the student will report the amount of reading completed on the final exam. Now, in residential, it's a paper exam that you take it in class with me, and so you would write what percentage of reading you did for the whole semester, and it's basically the honor system. If you read 95% of it, you read 95 in there. That's going to be your reading grade, 95. I'm not going to be doing pop quizzes or anything like that for reading. So basically, the honor system, you're going to have to answer before God if you lie and you have done no reading and you put a 100 down. So you get a 100% and you've done nothing. Well, you'll be held accountable by God, and that's going to have more consequences than I would be giving out. So you have to put down your reading. Now, online, instead of doing it on the exam, especially for online exams, and to have to put a percentage in, at the end of the semester, most likely I will be emailing the class and saying, please email me the percentage that you read, and that will be your grade. Okay, real easy. But you got to be honest. I mean, it is. It's honor system. You got to be honest. I know it's tempting, like, no, I don't have to really read, and I'll still get a good grade. No, you need to do the reading. Okay, required writing assignments. That's next here on the syllabus. Research papers. A student will write one 10-page research paper. The paper topic is a person or event of the student's choice. Your choice. You can pick whoever you want from the beginning all the way up to around 1500, which is like the Tudor time period with Henry VIII and all of that. Now, one thing about the papers, a lot of students, they get kind of bogged down in exactly what we're talking about at the time, and especially when they're starting to write the paper. Let's say we're talking about ancient Egypt. That might be a little earlier in the semester, and they want to write about that. And if that's what you want to write about, fine. But don't forget, you can go and research topics that are further from what we are. I mean, one of the last things we actually talk about is the Crusades and getting into England and Europe and all of that. And that's towards the end of the semester, so sometimes students don't even think about writing about that because we haven't gotten to it. But we're talking about Egypt, so everybody wants to write about Egypt. That's fine if you want to write about Egypt. But you want to also expand out into the different areas of history that's covered in this course. Okay, but the topic does have to be approved by the professor, by me. I don't want to have hey Zach, I want to write on World War II, or that's next course. Let's try. I want to write on Rome. Well, that's a pretty broad topic. What are you going to write about on Rome? You really got to kind of narrow it down to write a good 10-page research paper. It can't just be some huge topic that you're trying to cram into 10 pages. You want to kind of narrow it down. So I'll help you with that if you have any questions on that. But the topic does need to be approved. The papers are not simply a summary or review of the person or event. The student will show an evaluation of and provide analysis of the chosen person or event. In other words, so here's the simple way of understanding it. In other words, you will not simply write about Julius Caesar. You will also discuss whether he was a good leader or a general, and why. If you write on a major historical event, you will discuss its significance in history, both immediate and long term. Okay, so there's basically the outline or what you need to know about the paper and how it's going to be graded. Don't just read something in a book and put it on a piece of paper. I can read that from a book. What I want to know is what you are researching and how you interact with your sources to analyze the topic. Was Julius Caesar a good leader? Julius Caesar was a good leader because he showed 5 leadership traits. And then you write about the 5 leadership traits, and they're from different sources and all that stuff. And then you've written your paper. And I will then see how you use your sources and you researched it, and this is proving your thesis and all that. And so you have a good research paper. It can't just be Julius Caesar was born here and there and did this and did that and fought in this battle, and then Julius Caesar, he died. It can't just be that just descriptive kind of stuff you find in history books. So I want to see interaction and basically supporting of your thesis. For the paper to be turned in for this class, use Times New Roman font, size 12, double space for all formal assignments. If you're in doubt, ask, and it will be cited. MLA Handbook 8th edition. Okay, so make sure you cite your paper. Now, when you are citing your paper, I cannot say it enough. You must cite your paper. You must cite it. If you hand in a paper that's not cited, I'm going to put it right back to you. It has to be cited. Where did you get this information? You didn't just come up with this information and you didn't like dream it up or anything like that. You got it from somewhere. I need to know where you got it from. So when you write your papers, a good rule of thumb is, number one, you have to cite direct quotes. If you put quote, quote, there has to be a citation there to say where you got that direct quote from. But rule of thumb also is you do a citation at the end of each paragraph. So we know where that information comes from. If you do a quote and then you continue on with the paragraph and then you go to the next paragraph, well, what about that continuing on to the next paragraph? What about that continuing on? Where'd you get that information? Don't forget that citation. Just because you studied the quote up here doesn't mean you skip out on the citation at the end of that paragraph. You've got to cite it. Okay, I would rather have you overcite something than leave it empty or with no citation. So make sure you cite it. Your paper must have a minimum of 10 sources. 10 sources. Half of your sources must be hard copy books. That doesn't mean hardcover. It just means to be an actual book. 5 of your sources must be an actual book. So on your works cited page, it's going to have the publisher and the date published and all of that stuff there from an actual hardcover book. As you see behind me, I'm standing here in this nice classical library. Guess where the majority of history study happens? Majority of it happens in the library. If you think that's going to be happening on the internet, yes, there's lots of stuff on the internet, but you know what? You can't cite Wikipedia. You can get all kinds of history stuff on the internet. Your history research is going to be in the library, getting the books, getting the journals, whatever you're getting together, and really digging in deep and researching this paper. So as you see there, that's half the books half the sources must be actual books. Well, then what about the other half? Well, the other half could be journals, or they could be, which is a really good plus if you're starting to get some journal articles because they get real specific. But the online books, electronic books, and online sources you can use. That's the other half. You can use online sources. I'm not saying don't use them. Just 5 must be books. Now, when you get into your online sources, the online sources must be reputable sites. You cannot use Wikipedia. If you put Wikipedia, I'm gonna mark down your paper for that. Don't use Wikipedia. Don't use people, they get into these blogs and all this stuff. Don't use blogs. Don't use something that is just real questionable and all that stuff. If it ends in .edu or .org, it's more reputable than something that's .com. If you hit something that's .com, it better be a reputable source for .com. And you want to make sure that what you do with your sources is interact with them. Okay, I should be able to read through your paper and see this is what you said and this is where you got it. That's great. This is the next part of your paper, and these 2 sources, that's where you got them, and these sources really gave you good meat for supporting your thesis. And then this is the next one, and I want to see you interacting with your sources. Okay, well, the temptation is that you're putting all these words on paper, and then you try to find one little thing to say, and here's a little source and you cite that, and it's basically you just plugged it in. And I can tell. I mean, I've been there before too. I can tell. You don't want to just plug in a citation. You want to have, this is your good material, and then this is where I got it. That's how you cite a paper. Okay, so you got to use those sources. Next, as you see there on page 3, all students must use Grammarly to proof their paper before turning it into the instructor. If the instructor feels this process has been omitted, the paper will be returned to you ungraded for correction and penalized 1-letter grade. That's how important this is. It is mandatory at the College of Mid-America that every piece of written work that's a formal piece, like a research paper, must be run through Grammarly by the student first and then submitted to the professor. Okay, and basically what happens is you write up your paper, you put it through Grammarly. Then if you don't have Grammarly, contact Campus Life office because they will give you Grammarly. We have a license for it. It'll be given to you. You can download it on your computer with the code, and you have it on your computer. You run your paper through Grammarly, and it will give you the suggestions for the corrections of the grammar. Now, it's not going to correct it for you. It's just going to give you the option, yes, I want to do this. I want to change this spelling. I want to change this word structure. And they'll go through it. And what it's doing, as you correct through Grammarly, it's up in the corner, it's giving you a grade. So when you run it through Grammarly the first time, it may be, you might get a grade of 75. And then you start going through and making the corrections in Grammarly, and your grade starts going up and going up. And then next thing you know, you finish grading running your paper through Grammarly, doing the corrections, and now you have a grade of a 98 for Grammarly. Then what you do is you send that to me, the research paper, in a Word document, not PDF, Word document. I take that paper and I run it through Grammarly myself, and all I do is just put it in and I see what the grade is. If the grade is like a 95, a 96, great, no problem. I see that you ran it through Grammarly. If I get a paper and I put it in Grammarly and that grade comes up and it says like 71, I'm going to kick it back to you because you didn't make any corrections on the paper. A 71 on Grammarly is going to have a lot of errors. So you need to run it through Grammarly and do the corrections. And there will be a penalty for that 1-letter grade if I kick it back to you. It's very important. Very important. It's not hard to do either. Research paper is due Friday, November 20th by midnight. November 20th by midnight. Paper must be turned in, as I said, in a Word document, not PDF. And plagiarism, do not do it. Write your own paper. Now, if someone forgets to do a citation, I'm not going to say, oh, they plagiarized. I'm not going to do that. But if it's like, it's clearly this is not this student's writing style. This is like an academic paper. Someone of a high degree has written this. You need to just write your own paper. So that's plagiarism. If you plagiarize, you're done the course. You failed. So academic dishonesty is very important. We are here for an education for academics, and you cheated academics. What's the point of even being here? It is very serious here at Mid-America with plagiarism. Okay, so enough of that. Course grading requirements. We have 4 exams, 15% apiece, which is 60% of your final grade, all added up there. You see the dates for your exams, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the exams are pretty simple. I don't get real difficult, I'll say that, with the exams. A lot of multiple choice. So the correct answer's there. It's just you got to pick the correct answer. A lot of multiple choice exams, maybe 50 questions. They'll be on Moodle, all of that. But you must have a proctor for your exams. The proctor is someone. There's a proctor form on Moodle, and they have to meet those requirements. And then we set it up that I would email them the password to the online exam, and they're supposed to be with you when you're taking it to give you the password, and then they're supposed to monitor you and all of that. Now, I will have to find out and get back to you. I'll just send out a class email or something in regards to the COVID-19 distancing and safety protocols and all of that. If you need to meet with your proctor, or I can just email your proctor the code, and your proctor gives it to you so they know you've taken the exam, and they'll say don't use the study guides and all of that. So that's the exams. Reading assignments, again, as I said, that's 10% of your grade. You're responsible for keeping up on the reading, and then you will tell me at the end of the course how much you read. Number 3, write a 10-page research paper on a person or event in the scope of this course. The topic must be approved by the professor. That's 30% of your grade. Okay, so that research paper is pretty heavy on your grade. You want to do pretty well on that. You can see the grading scale there. we're at a 10-point grading scale, so 90 to 100 is the A range, A minus, A plus, etc. So you can go all the way down. A 60 is a D minus, and 59 is failing. When I was in college, it was 69 was failing and 70 passing. So if you need more information about that, see the catalog for the College of Mid-America. Late work, don't do it. Plan ahead. Get a day planner. Write it down. Get a calendar, whatever it is, and plan ahead for what you have to do. If you're like, oh, I got a paper due in 3 days, to knock out a 10-page paper in 3 days with proper citation, that's going to be pretty tough. You want to make sure you schedule it out. You hit the library a good number of weeks before the paper is due and start getting your sources and do all of that. So that's the only work that's due to me is the paper. Just so don't do it. If it's every day that it's late, it's 5 points off. So, and that's 5 points per day, not per school day. So if it's Saturday's 5 points off, Sunday another 5 points off, Monday another 5 points off. So don't think you're getting by on the weekends and all that. That's 5 points every day because you can email me the paper. And the paper's due by midnight on the due date. So it's time stamped on the email. So if you send it in at 1:30 a.m., it's clearly you were trying to really get it in there. The last page written. So make sure you get it in on time. You don't need to get 5 points off for late. Class attendance. Students have a maximum of 9 absences during the course. 3 tardy marks is 1 absence. Again, for the residential students that applies, but for online, it's that logging in for 3 different times during the week. Attendance and inclement weather, that doesn't apply for online. Class conduct, again, doesn't really apply for online, except to say that we should have a Christ-like attitude in the forums and talking, going back and forth. If there's a discussion forum, I've never had any kind of problem where it's like some kind of heated argument in a history class. So just make sure that we're all having a Christ-like attitude. Okay, next on page 5 is the class schedule and the reading assignments. As you can see there, August 18th and 19th is Founders Days. That's going to be online. It's a virtual this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. August 19th is the first day of class, syllabus overview. So you're watching that here on this video right now. And then the first lecture is the what and why of history, and that is August 20th. Okay, and again, this will be live on Monday, the 17th. So you can do the class, you can watch that lecture then, whatever. But by the end of the week, you want to have at least logged in 3 times and watch the lecture. Okay, week 2, in the beginning, the days of creation. Reading is Genesis chapter 1 through 11 from the Bible. Read that, Genesis 1 through 11, for that session. And then August 26th, the first civilization, reading pages 5 to 23. Now, I have to just put a little disclaimer here about that textbook. The textbook is secular. Okay, it's a secular textbook. It's not a Christian publisher or anything like that. It talks about evolution. It talks about millions of years. It talks about the old Earth type idea. Okay, and I teach the views, the different views from a biblical standpoint, looking at evolution. All right, so I'm definitely going to teach the biblical standpoint, the biblical worldview of creation. That's what I believe. I believe that's the truth. It's from the Bible. I'm a young Earth creationist myself, and so I teach from that viewpoint. That's my belief. Now the thing is that the students come to Mid-America from all walks of life and all different backgrounds and all of that, and so some students might not really know too much about evolution or the views of evolution, and so I teach what the different views of evolution are. I don't teach evolution as truth, and you'll pick that up in the videos. But I do have to put that disclaimer out there that the textbook is secular, and I talk about evolution to give you the different beliefs of evolutionists, okay? And especially when you start getting into the different proofs that they have in regards to early man. I teach the what the evolutionists say, so you know what evolutionists say. I don't believe it. I don't believe in evolution. Okay, so I'm gonna put that little disclaimer in there. All right, so you know Zach is a creationist. He's a Christian. He believes the Bible to be 100% truth. Okay, so I don't want to have an email. It's like, I can't believe you just taught me evolution. No, I believe in the Bible, and I believe in creation, and I do teach the views of evolution, so you know what they are out there in the world. Okay, then we get into Mesopotamia, just going down. Assyria, Babylonia, Phoenicia, the Hittite Empire, and then week 4, exam number 1. Okay, the exam is just for that section. They're not cumulative exams. Okay, so exam 1. Then we move into Egypt, and we'll be in Egypt for a while. You can see there it's about 2 weeks in Egypt. Then we move on into some other areas. We have India. Okay, continuing in September, we hit China, then Persia, and then we hit into exam 2, fall break, October 5th to the 9th. Then we get into Greece, and we'll be in Greece for a while. There's a lot of things that go on there with Greece, dealing with wars and philosophy and Alexander the Great and all that. We talk about Greece. Then we get into Rome, and we're in Rome a long time. Okay, we're in Rome for, let's see here, we got at least 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks of Rome. Then exam 3 on November 10th. Okay, then we have Islam. Then we have the Middle Ages. We have Charlemagne, nation building, feudalism, an age of chivalry. So now we start getting into the time of knights and castles and all of that. Friday, November 20th, 10-page research paper due. Thanksgiving holiday. And then we get into medieval culture with feudalism, crusades, and then we get into the final exam review. One thing that I do for students is that I give study guides for every exam. I will put that on Moodle for usually it's the beginning of the week. So like Monday, you wake up early on Monday and get on Moodle, and there it is. It'll be an exam study guide for the upcoming exam, which could be later in the week or whatever. If the exam is going to be early the next week, then I'll do it the previous week. It's a study guide. It really, if you study the study guide, you should have no problem with taking the exams. There's a selected bibliography, so these are some things you can look through, books. Maybe you have an interest in Islam or something. There could be some books on Islam here. Peloponnesian War. What book is about the Peloponnesian War? Well, there it is. Peloponnesian War on page 9. So there's just some books there for you to look at if you want to look at those for bibliography. Page 10 is the rubric. It looks like this. It's this graph. This is what I use to grade your research paper. How did you present your ideas? Is there organization and flow? How was your research? How was your MLA? Was it cited properly? How about your style mechanics? That's going to be the grammar and the choice of words and the punctuation. And then we do the math, and it comes up with your grade. Okay, so that's the rubric for you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in, it's going to be in Moodle, and there will be just a note for you to send me an email that you have read the syllabus, you understand the syllabus. That way I know that you have gotten what the course requires for this course. Okay, so that's the syllabus. I know I probably rambled on there forever, but you need to know this information. It's good to get a good foundation on this. When I was in my bachelor's degree, one thing that I just couldn't stand was when the very first day of class, the professor walked in, and usually they were like, didn't really, state universities, some professors are really good, others are not. And sometimes professors would walk in and they just start teaching, and they wouldn't tell you here's the syllabus. They wouldn't go over anything. You have all kinds of questions. So there was this one professor I had, Dr. Freeman. I'll tell you what, that professor, she went over the syllabus with us step by step, and everything was explained to us. And that's what I like to do. I want to make sure you guys are all set for what you have to do for World History 1. So you're jumping off here. Again, this might be your very first college class. You're a freshman, and this is your 8 a.m. class. And so I just want to make sure you guys are all set with the syllabus. Okay, in regards to Moodle, you're going to be on Moodle for this class. So you log into Moodle, and you have your dashboard there where it has all your classes you're taking. And you'll see World History 1. You click on that, and it'll bring up the page, and there'll be some introductory material. In that introductory material, it's going to talk about brief instructions about the class, and then there's going to be the syllabus, and there's going to be the proctor form. So make sure you print out the proctor form, get it signed, and all of that, and then that has to be emailed to me. Take a picture with your phone. I don't care what you do. Just give me the image. You can scan it, whatever. Get me the image of the proctor. Okay, I need their name, their signature, and their email address. Okay, I'm not sure if the email address, there's a line for it. I need their email address on that proctor form. That way I can send them the code. Another thing that you can do in regards to the proctoring is that if you're in the Cordova area, you might be a student here and you're just taking this class online. You can take the exam in class with the residential students, and I'll proctor your exam by giving you a piece of paper exam. It's the same exam, one's online, one's on paper. So you can do it that way also if you're in the area and you want to come to class that test day, that exam day at 8 a.m. because the residential is 8 to 8:50 a.m. And you can take the paper exam right there in class with me, and I'll proctor it. You don't even have to worry about a proctor for this one. Just let me know what you want to do. So that's Moodle, and then you go and click on the day and or the week, and it'll have a title, what the week is, and then how I have it set up is session 1, and then it'll be session 1 video. I usually say in this session we will talk about Rome, Roman emperors, and then session 1 video. Then session 2. In this session, we'll talk about Rome and their wars. Session 2 video. Then session 3, et cetera, et cetera. So you have 1, 2, 3 for the week. And then at the bottom of that, I will have a checklist. And this is what you need to do for this week. Watch all the videos. If you have to email me something, email the professor. If there's a forum, if I do put a forum in there, I answered the forum question. Check. Okay, and so there'll be a little checklist at the bottom of every week, so you know exactly where you're at and what you have to do for the week. So that's Moodle. But I just want also to help you with history. History sometimes is a challenging topic. Some people love history. I do. Some people it's just like, oh man, I can't believe we're going to take this. Let me just get this out of the way so I can move on with what I'm interested in. And that's the thing is you either kind of love it or hate it type of an idea. But one thing that I do want to do is I want to make it as fun as possible. Okay, we want it to be fun. Now, when I say make it as fun as possible, sometimes that's a challenge because a lot of learning of history is downloading what I say into your brain. And it can get kind of tedious and lecture. And online, that's pretty much how it is. We have in Moodle, the session, it's going to be an intro with me. And then we merge into a PowerPoint. I talk through the PowerPoint. And then I do kind of like a little outro to send you off until I see you in the next video. Okay, so that's kind of like how the structure is of each video. And I don't want you to get bored. I want you to have fun with history. I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible. Some of the videos that you will be watching, I have recorded previously. They're not. I didn't record it like yesterday, and I'm putting it up this coming week. Some of them I recorded when I taught this session last semester. When I taught World History 1 2 semesters ago. Okay, so some of them, my hair might be a little different or whatever, but it's the same material. And that's what the teaching is, and that's what the test exam questions are going to come from. Okay, so and again, any questions, please email me. It's great to have you guys in class, and this is probably a very long video. The teaching ones are not going to be this long. I'm glad you guys are in class. I hope you guys have fun and enjoy your time here at College of Mid-America, and definitely in World History 1. See you later.